Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. All right, we're going to have to do without the microphone. It's my distinct pleasure to welcome you all here. I'm Chris Damone. I'm the Public Information Officer for the City of Salisbury. I lucked into this gig. I'm honored to be doing it. I'm going to start with something that was prepared for us here to read at the beginning as an introduction. Great band leader, cool cat, loving family man, community pioneer. You'd need to use every one of these terms to begin to express just how lucky Salisbury and Wicomico County have been to have Melvin Harris and just how important he was and is to generations of young musicians. Mr. Harris was destined for greatness in music education. The son of a teacher and a principal, he began playing trumpet at age 9. By the age of 16, he was the student director of his high school band. He began his career as a band director in Virginia, but in 1961, he relocated to become band director of the all-black Salisbury High School. And it was during his 5 years there that he established the elementary band program that would later become the beginner's class for band students that they still take today. I'm a product of, actually. 1966 brought integration, and with the closing of Salisbury High, Mr. Harris moved across town to become the first band director of the new Bennett Junior High. That's right. As leader of a band with 100 musicians or more, he was a formidable force in funding the band's needs and a compelling and beloved figure as its musical guide. He made students laugh with his family stories, and he inspired in them love and respect for the music they played and the uniform they wore. His bands earned honors in local competitions and even marched in the nationally televised Gimbel's Christmas Parade in Philadelphia. At the same time, he opened his band's students' eyes to their own community, taking them to places like the West Side Community Center and the Queen City Lodge to perform in a part of the city they had never seen. He directed the We Care program to help black and white students come together following integration. That's right. As a band director, he can take all the different pieces and parts of a band and put them together to make beautiful music. He does the same thing for his students in this community. Mr. Harris left Bennett Jr. in 1980, but his next mission in music education was not done. For the next 7 years, he divided his time and talents among 4 elementary schools, one of which I attended, before finishing out his career with 5 years as the band teacher at Pinehurst Elementary. Then he just kept on giving, directing the Salvation Army Band and serving as a volunteer for the Wicomico Senior High School Band for 13 years. For more than 4 decades, Mr. Harris uplifted this city and county with his skills and spirit as a teacher, a leader, a pioneer, and a great member of the community. Today, there is a 9 or a 10-year-old student blowing a trumpet for the first time under the guidance of a band teacher who was a member of one of Mr. Harris's Bennett Junior bands. Today, there are middle school students at Salisbury Middle, located at the former Salisbury High School, who proudly march through Salisbury, uniforms crisp, instruments held high, under the guidance of a band director who was another of Mr. Harris's students. Everywhere in this community and beyond are adults who recall his lessons and cherish the time spent under his baton. Throughout this community are children who learn and grow through playing music thanks to his leadership as a great music educator. We are all better for it. So what I just read to you was written by Tracy Saller, a fellow public information officer and a wonderful writer and storyteller, and I hesitated to add anything more to what she had already said so beautifully, but I don't think I'd ever forgive myself if I missed the opportunity to offer my own thanks. So first off, on behalf of everyone here, I'd like to say thank you to Kim Olyate for making this happen. Kim's enthusiasm for this ceremony and for the street dedication is a product of her love and respect for Mr. Harris, something we all share with her. She has put in hours and hours of work behind the scenes to bring this day to fruition, and I think we all owe her a round of applause. Let's do it again. Quick thanks to our media friends, Craig and Tom at PAC 14, Greg Bassett at the Salisbury Independent, Debbie Gates at the Daily Times, Mark Reeve at the Metropolitan, and our friends from WBOC and WMDT who are here today. And now, my own personal thanks. Mr. Harris is a man with community service in his DNA. I don't know how else we could explain his willingness to serve on so many boards and committees voluntarily. He's the guy you're always happy to run into in the giant parking lot, no matter how lousy a day you're having. He's the voice in your head making sure you know which note gets the accent, something that usually goes, no, man, it's biddy-dee-da, not biddy-da-da. To this day, that's the voice I hear when I'm counting out a melody or a rhythm. He's a family man, a soldier, a community leader, a trusted friend, a respected and admired colleague, and Mr. Harris is, without a doubt, an unmatched force for bringing about positive change through music in the lives of Wicomico County students. Thank you. I consider myself to be amongst the most fortunate of Mr. Harris's students because he taught me near the end of his tenure with the Wicomico County school system, and then again as an assistant with the High Band. That means I got to learn directly from him for almost a decade when most students only got half that. He was a source of comfort for me at the end of my sophomore year of high school when my family suffered the sudden loss of my dad, whom Mr. Harris still refers to this day as my buddy. He's the reason I chose to play brass instruments, although I suspect there may have been undue influence brought to bear upon that decision. And the love and appreciation of the craft that Mr. Harris instilled in me is the reason why I have to explain to my son why Daddy tears up when he sees a well-executed company front. Mr. Harris, it's not overstating it to say that I count this opportunity to thank you in public, on the record, as the high point of my career. It's an honor of which I'm not worthy to bring thanks on behalf of your students and this community. Mr. Harris, thank you. This time we're going to welcome Dr. Mark Cook to come up and offer some remarks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Mark Andrew Cook, and I am the Director of Music Theory and Composition at Shepherd University. I'm also serve on the jazz faculty. And it is my unbelievably distinct honor to be able to do this, Mr. Harris. I almost turned Kim down when this came about because I just didn't feel I was worthy to stand on the stage and speak about you, but I'm going to do my best. As jazz musicians, we're taught to improvise. Here goes. I do have some business to attend to. The last speech I was asked to give was to a batch of freshmen, and it was supposed to be a short speech, and my colleague timed me at 42 minutes. Sesquipedalian blowhard, windbag. So I promise, first of all, brevity, okay? The second thing is I am noted for speaking in very precise and clipped, but also very fast tones, and I've been cautioned against this, thanks dear, the wife, and God bless her. And because of that, the reason because of that is because I'm compelled every morning of my life to deliver lectures to catatonic and comatose freshmen and sophomores on the subject of music theory. So precision, clarity, and not so much brevity there, but clipped speech and speed is of the essence. In fact, the consumption of coffee on my campus exponentially rises with each lecture that I deliver. It's true. And then the last is that one detests any kind of autolatrous, self-declamation or first-person singular use. But I'm going to have to beg your indulgence and apologies beforehand, because in order to bring things into perspective, I may have to tell stories, just in order to bring things into perspective on the profound impact that this man has had upon me throughout my life as everything, as a teacher, as a musician, as everything. So, those are my three disclaimers to begin with, and now I want to tell you something about my experience with Mr. Harris. I came here very bashful and shy, new kid in the middle of the year. And everybody's looking him up and down, going like, who's the new kid with the big gunky-looking glasses? My glasses were really cool 20 years later, but big, thick black glasses. It wasn't making it. Everybody was doing the John Lennon thing, and I looked like a total pencil neck. But I mean, I came into this thing, I was very insecure, very shy, and Mr. Harris was just this wonderful man who lived, breathed, ate, slept, and just danced music all through the classroom and all through the day, and I just, wow, this is the greatest thing, and just like gave me something to grab a hold of, and gave me something to grasp, and something to believe in, and something to do, it was just an amazing experience to be in that band. As a jazz musician, you know, I am blessed and incredibly fortunate. I run with the big dogs up in the big city. And I play with some guys who are pretty scary folks, and there's a reason why. It's because I've worked really hard, but it's also because part of that is my time is impeccable, my musical time. And my musical time is impeccable, see if you guys remember this, because I have distinct remembrances of a drumstick going, apple, apple, chocolate, chocolate, huckleberry, huckleberry pie. My time is immaculate. Thank you very much, Mr. Harris. It goes on from there. It's pretty amazing. Okay. His teaching style was familiar, but not familiar to the point where you felt like you were, oh gosh, uncomfortable. Well, how do I say this? It wasn't like you would walk up and go, hey, how you doing, Mel? No, it wasn't like that. It's consummate and ultimate respect. But it was like a familiar, and I never forgot this because I incorporated it into my own teaching, you know? My students are familiar. I have a line of students outside of my office I just got emails and messages today. Oh, I got this job. I got this other job teaching elementary school. Which one should I take? I mean, this is emails and text messages from my students. That's because of this man. This man taught me how to do this. He taught me how to be a comfortable person to come and talk to as a teacher, as a mentor, as a role model, as whatever you want to call it. What other wonderful words and adjectives can we use? You know, but at the same time, you know, that issue of respect is still there. Constant. I still can't call him by his first name. I have to say Mr. Harris. Yeah. So. As you know, in terms of my life as again, I apologize, my life as a teacher, my life as a classical trumpet player and a jazz piano player, my life as a composer, my life as a role model and mentor for my own students in the university setting, okay? Every one of those tasks, every one of those task-specific chores comes directly from Mr. Harris. He taught me how to be that way. He taught me how to do that. He was an incredible role model. He was incredible. And, you know, he vested in all of us. Howard, fabulous job, guys. Hawaii 5-0. You guys remember that? My friend Mike McGilton, who, I don't know if he's here or not. He may not be able to make it. But we used to make up names for all those tunes. And he named it instead. It was not Hawaii 5-0. It was Okinawa 47. So that's nonsense. It's silly. But he vested in us these core values of great musicianship. I mean, you got to talk, you know, middle school kids. Middle school kids hardly know to remember to wake up and breathe in the morning, you know? And we're in there going like, perfect practice makes perfect. Remember that one? You know? Yes, you do, yeah. And the one time that I was bad, and it was only one time, believe you me. How many of you remember this? Put your horn up. Oh my God, my life is over. It was awful. I was in tears. It was awful. I never did what I did again. You can believe that. I was being an idiot. 8th grade idiot. Need I say more? Got over that in a big hurry. Well, not only that, as a great musicianship, fabulous musicianship, as a fabulous educator, as a role model for me to be an educator for what I do. When I'm in the classroom, that's what I do. Not a day goes by when I don't think of this man in my teaching, in my playing. And that's no joke. That's not an exaggeration. I'm here to tell you that's absolute truth. And as just a caring, wonderful human being, we've heard some of the great things that he's done across his life. It's an amazing thing. My father is the former director emeritus of the Greater Salisbury Committee, Robert Cook. He's here today with my wife, Helen, my daughter, Elizabeth, who's just back from China. And also my brother David, who was a student of Mr. Harris's as well. And my father dug this out this morning, and I'm going to read this to you just a little bit. I'm going to excerpt it, Pop, okay? We Care program. This program was made possible by the Greater Salisbury Community's leadership. 200 white and at the time this was correct to say, white and Negro children were gainfully employed for 10 weeks of the summer in beautifying the county. Each child earned $400 in 1968. It's a lot of money for a little kid, towards educational expenses or to help his or her family. $100,000 was brought into the community. They established this and sort of passed it off to community people like it's very common to do. And Mr. Harris was the director of that, and I'm sure it was like herding cats, Mr. Harris. I mean, it was, all that kind of stuff. So well done. I mean, these are the kinds of things that Mr. Harris did outside of being a musician, this caring human being and a member of the community. It's a fabulous, fabulous gift to us all, and this is a gift that we have to give back. In terms of extrapolation, of his gifts to me, it goes to my students and others as well. One of my colleagues, or former colleagues, she was the director of percussion at Shepherd University. Now she's the director of percussion at Towson University. Dr. Michelle Humphreys is in the back row there. I could, thank you, Michelle. When Michelle plays mallets and she does her thing, it's terrifying. I mean, how do you, like 6, and I can't even, wow, it's amazing. She's amazing, and we were just backstage talking about what a profound effect Mr. Harris had on us. Some of my students who are now out teaching everywhere, God almighty, there's some in China. There's one in one of my students who premiered my sonata for trumpet and piano at the Alba Music Festival in Italy. There's one student that I would point out, and I don't want to be too much longer here, who's a young man by the name of George Joseph Ferenz IV. And George, my wife calls him the puppy because we kind of adopted him as the son we never had, and we've also adopted his sister as another daughter. And they're just wonderful, wonderful, committed, wonderful young people, both music ed majors, both graduated from Shepherd. And George's first job, talk about, serendipity, George's first job was as the assistant band director this past year at James M. Bennett Middle School. How about that? So those Mr. Harris, me, George, who knows? Yeah, isn't that amazing? Just amazing. I'm not going to say more about We Care at Salvation Army because others have done that. Okay, I only got a couple things that I'm going to say, and then I will make sure that I fulfill my promise of brevity. First one is, and this is a little uncomfortable, and we're going to be uncomfortable about this, but I can talk to you about this because we are all friends here through Mr. Harris, and we're all family through Mr. Harris. Would you agree with that statement? Yeah. Can I get a witness? Yeah. And that's back in, 68, when we had our very own little set of troubles here. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. Remember that? It was awful, those of you who remember. And we didn't know how to act. Francine and Karen and Diane, these are all my colleagues, and Peg and Van and Bruce and Howard and Joe and Mike and Kathy and all that crew, all of us, we just didn't know how to act. We were little kids. What do we know from all this stuff that's going on and all this problems and troubles and things like that? And when we came back to school, we were all on edge and on pins and needles because we didn't know how to act. We didn't know what to do. We didn't can I still be friends with my black friends and and all this kind of stuff. And it was very, very, you're talking about, 13, 14-year-old kids. We didn't know what to do. And Mr. Harris, he kept on keeping on. You understand what I'm saying? He held himself not above, that sounds elitist, but he held himself apart from all that, and we got the job done. And it was all about the music, and it was all about the teaching, and it was all about those things that make us great people and great musicians and great human beings. Testify, and that ain't no joke. He's a great man. And I owe so much to him. And how can I ever repay such a gift? How can I ever repay a debt like this? I can't. It's impossible. How can I repay, any of us? How can we repay a gift and a debt that we owe so much to this man for so much that he's done for us individually and collectively as musicians, as a community? It's amazing to me that, this man has done so much and has such an effect on me personally, on my children, on my kids at school. They're my children too. Well, here's how we do it, my friends, my family. There's a musical tradition. It's the musical tradition of the ovation. And we all give ovations from time to time in great performances. But there's something threefold here. There's a threefold ovation that I intend for us to give. And it's for, first of all, sir, a job well done. Thank you for a job well done. Next, I would like to say thank you for a life well spent. And last but not least is I will ask you to be upstanding and give Mr. Harris the standing ovation that he so rightly deserves for a great performance. Thank you very much.
I'd like to welcome Miss Katrina Purnell to the podium. I asked her if there was anything she'd like me to say on her behalf, and she said, I'm just a former student, but I think she and I both agreed we don't like the use of the term former there. Student of Mr. Harris, Miss Katrina Purnell.
Now we can get started. All right. For all of us at Salisbury High School, we knew that meant to get business started. I don't know if you all knew, everybody's saying such accolades about Mr. Harris. I thought that he was a little mean to us. Okay, now, I'm just being real. After we finished school, which was a job in itself, the right side of the field at Salisbury High School, we had to get ready. What was the saying, Brenda? Ready, 2, 3, 4? He never gave us instructions once we got on the field. We had to not only remember our music, remember the cadence, remember where we were supposed to be, but remember the whistle count. I said, what? He would all, and it's already been mentioned by Dr. Dr. Cook that Mr. Harris made adjustments. You'd be in the first seat, the second seat, maybe the second row. But when it came time to practice and for his character, we were always important. Mr. Harris had that kind of swagger about him. Sometimes you'd see him walk off to the side if he needed to speak to someone in private. Never put your business down front. You know what I mean? That people want to put you on point. He didn't do that. And we got on the field and we appreciated that. Because what he did, he always told us, when you go out, you don't only represent yourself, that you represent your family, you represent your community. So it was always important for Mr. Harris that we put our best foot forward. Can you see us going down East Road? It was so hot. The people came outside with their little chairs, and I thought, I wanted to be in the band. My grandmother said once she got that instrument, you weren't gonna quit. So we're going down the road and people are coming out cheering and waving, and then we went down the street, down Richmond Avenue, West Road, up Dennis Street, back around again. I thought, it's good. We're almost done. Then the lady next to me said, it's not dark yet. It's not dark yet. It got so rough on our body till people were going inside getting us water and bringing it back outside to us. But it made us the people that we are because he taught us that character. And he would say, is the band front, is that what you call them now? We had majorettes, and we had the drum major. And can you lift your legs just a little higher? Mr. Harris, how do I do that and still play the instrument? You play to the side or you play to the front, and you gotta lift your knees as high as you possibly can. But we did it. We did it. When we went to the parade and everybody started coming down the street and following, that gives you such a warm feeling that people are actually listening to us. And he taught us that kind of thing that we had to do. And first of all, I got to regress a little bit because I just want to thank God for the gift that he gave Mr. Harris so he could pass it on to us. And I thank God God for him ordaining this day, because I recognize that there are a lot of other people that could be praised, because we have a lot of great people in our community, but God said on July 1st, 2015, we're going to recognize Mr. Melvin Harris. Amen. I just wrote a few things that we had a relationship with Mr. Harris. And for you to have a relationship with somebody, and we're taught that in church, that it's got to be meaningful. You got to trust the person, because you can't have a relationship with somebody if you don't trust them. That's not a relationship. But we had a relationship with Mr. Harris. He earned our trust. He told us that we were trustworthy. So that always put a special place in our heart. And when we would always say, Mr. Harris, we're going to try, okay, we're going to do this. And he said, no, you're not. You're going to do it, because if we set out to do a thing, we're going to make adjustments, but we're going to get the job done, and we're going to represent who we represent, and then we're going to go home. Thank you, Mr. Harris. You taught us all those skills, not only from being in the band, but those are life skills that we have passed on, that I have tried to teach to my family, to my church family, and our church family, to our children, because what a great world it would be that if we could trust people, they had integrity, and what they said they meant. So those are all the things that I got from Mr. Harris. Besides being a little sweaty, besides getting on a school bus, and then when he talked about some of his students, he talked about them with such pride. Ronald Roxbury went to Peabody. I didn't know what Peabody was, but Mr. Harris was excited about it. So I thought it must be really important. I saw Oakley in the audience, and he's played with a lot of bands. I thought Mr. Harris told me he once played with James Brown. I'm not sure. But we had, yes, Oakley played with James Brown. Talent. And last summer, Sidney Sessoms came to Salisbury. He is the director of music for Livingstone University, and he was going to play with the orchestra in New York, but he stopped by just to say thank you, and he brought his whole band and gave us a free concert. You don't do that with somebody that you don't trust and you don't have a relationship with. And on a Wednesday, it's hot outside. And Mr. Harris, we showed up just for you, to tell you thank you. We appreciate you. We praise God for sending you our way, and we just wish for you to have many, many more years. God bless.
I think we've all heard the phrase before, behind every great man is a greater woman. So I'd just like to take this opportunity to say thank you to Mrs. Harris for letting all of us be a part of your life and your family. When I got the phone call, I guess it was about 2.5 months ago, Kim, from this woman who said she was from Delaware and she had this idea, and there was this great educator that she wanted to honor. And I said, okay, well, that's sure. What can we do to help you? And she said, well, we'd like to get a street named after him. I said, okay, that's wonderful. So I took her information, and throughout the course of that conversation, it was brief. I didn't actually know who it was she was looking to name the street after. I found out after the fact, and I went to the mayor and said, she wants to name the street after Mr. Harris. And I found out that the mayor had already taken that phone call, and before the phone was on the cradle, he turned to the Public Works folks. We've actually got a representative here today. Said, make it happen. He didn't bat an eye. He just said yes. It's my honor to introduce the mayor of Salisbury, Ireton.
Now, Mr. Harris, you knew this was going to be part revival, part history lesson, part music lesson and part tribute. You must have known that. Now, all of you talk about what Mr. Harris did for you when you were holding those instruments. He also had the forethought and the honesty to look a very gangly, tall fifth grader with Coke bottle glasses in the eye and say, "Mr. Ireton, the trombone is not for you." He did, however, send me to the East Salisbury Chorus, which sent me to All County Chorus, which had me singing in church and has me singing tonight downtown. Thank you, Mr. Harris. On a very serious note, though, because it is important for us to remember our history. And my friends, we are looking at living history, is what we're looking at. Mr. Harris is a community treasure that enriches the tempo of our lives. Mr. Harris, the son of educators, is living the ultimate dream in the music that his students perform. The sounds of thousands of instruments, mentored and directed by you, Mr. Harris, carry your legacy near and far. So on behalf of all those people assembled, Mr. Harris, those who have come from near and far, congratulations. Our community has honored many who have improved the lives of young people through education. We've honored several of those who've gone before us, people like Charles Chipman and Mary Pinkett and the late Melvin Jernigan. We honor those who press forward today, like Charles Gosley and Norman Conway and Judy Lynn Mitchell and Margot Handy. Mr. Harris, you are a community treasure just as they were and they are, with no agenda but to improve the lives and uplift children through education. I marvel at the changes that Mr. Harris has seen and how he always made life about the music that young people could make and the way their lives could be improved and enriched through it. Now, Mr. Harris, on a purely personal note, you've made those of us here today, including me, better people in the endeavors that we have chosen to take on. No matter where we see you, and Chris said it, and all of you know this, it doesn't matter if it's at the grocery store, it doesn't matter if it's at the mall, it doesn't matter if it's at a community meeting. What I find, and I know you feel it, is that when we part from Mr. Harris, there is indeed a most powerful, a most inspirational, and might I say, a most musical push to continue the lives of improving young people. To those of us gathered today, know that Mr. Harris continues to inspire us even now. His trumpet sounds in the way that he sees life and the way he sees young people. He has always had this insistence that we improve the human condition, not just through music, and his selflessness and his commitment to others through community service lets us know that the trumpet continues to sound and that the band is ever marching forward. So, Mr. Harris, it is in that vein, sir, my friend, and for that reason that it is fitting that a tangible, visible mark be left on this community, much like the mark you have left on all of us. So I do let you know today that at the corners of Lake and Isabella and the corners of Lake and Booth Street, we have now designated Melvin Harris Way. Mr. Harris, if you will begin to walk here in front of, we designate Melvin Harris Way as a way of thanking you, a man who has marched with us and through us, Mr. Harris, and in celebration of the music and of the history you have played.
both, so I'm going to move the mic right over there.
Yep, I'll get it. Ask a teacher, right?
Hello. The reason I'm sitting down, put it down a little bit, okay, is because I have a bad leg, okay? I think I marched 2 million miles in my life, and I think it's falling apart. And if they stick one more needle in me, I think I'll be a pin cushion. I'm so excited about this occasion that I do not know where to start. At Bennett, we had a starting step, so this would be a good way to kick off this ceremony. How many of you remember the starting step? Okay, you don't have to do the step, just say the word, okay? Here we go. Michelle, there was that little slow thing we used to do, da 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 da. Do that, Michelle. Yeah, that's it. Okay, everybody remember that? I think that's what's wrong with my leg. I would like to thank the Heavenly Father for letting me live to be 85 years old. My birthday was the 17th of June. We flew to Charlotte, North Carolina, and my grandson, Denise's son, graduated from the police academy on the 18th. And I'd like to thank the Lord for giving me a wonderful wife. Children, Melvin III, Rodney, Denise, and Belinda. Also 2 grandchildren, Markel and Chris. My wife had to make a lot of sacrifices during my years of teaching. We had to make a lot of changes in our lives. Sometimes we'd pass each other on the road. I blew at her and she blew at me. And on the days that we left early in the morning, I live on Jersey Road, and you know where Jolly's funeral home is. Before I could get out of the driveway, she came out ahead of me. She's got a heavy foot. She'd be down by Jolly's funeral home. So, until one day the state trooper stopped her down there. He didn't give her a ticket because he said, "Go ahead, miss, I'm going to school." Okay, another thing that we have to do, our meal schedule. You know, we never got a chance to eat much supper together because I'd leave 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, back 8 o'clock at night. They were already eating, so I had to eat when I could. And for that, I thank her. For all the years of going to football games and going to concerts, and Christmas concerts and everything, and the children played, and they played all the way through elementary school, through high school, through college. And when Belinda graduated from college, Clara said, "That's the last Christmas parade, that's the last football game I'm going to go to." And if they played football in my backyard, I mean, we got to win that game. She said, now another thing that's important to me was that the way that I got a chance to go down to Salisbury High School to work in the elementary schools. Because when I first came here, the elementary school, they didn't have any band in elementary school. They had it from 7th grade all the way through. So let's talk a little bit about Salisbury High now. Katrina mentioned something about it, okay, about Ronald Roxbury. Ronald Roxbury was a music genius, okay? He could play anything at anytime I needed something. We got a bassoon, and I said, "Ronald, can you play this bassoon?" He said, "Oh yeah, I can play the bassoon, sir." I said, "Have you ever played before?" He said, "No." So he said, "Give it to me, and I'll take it home, and when I come back next week, I'll be able to play." He did that. And he also was on television. He went to Peabody, like Katrina said. At Peabody, he wrote songs for flute and piano, and he was on television. Isaiah played with James Brown, also played in our band. Is Isaiah here? Okay, please stand by me. Also in Colorado High School, I had a boy named Willie Waters, and he's like a professional trumpet player now, but he was a chemist. He didn't major in music. He came home last year, and he played with me at the Salvation Army. He had one of those trumpets like Dizzy Gillespie. I think he paid something like, I don't know, $5,000 for it or something. He could take out one bell and put another bell on it. Okay, now what is the big thing? The first job that I had at Salisbury High School was at Salisbury when I came here. We had very good memories of that. We played at the University of Maryland College Park for the State Band Festival. There was only 2 black bands there, my band and a band from Macy's Lane. How many remember Macy's Lane in Kansas? Okay. We got a 2 rating. Now, we had about 65 people in the band, and some other band that we were competing against, they had like 110, 120, but we held our own and we did get a 2 rating. We also played at Maryland State College, which is now UMES, for their football games. And we played for many Christmas parades, and farmers parades, the Alkaloids parade in town here, and parades all over every place. Now, how many of you know Mr. Brown from the, Julia Brown, remember Julia Nutter? Okay, well, she was my head majorette. And, Alan Brown's wife. She was my head majorette. Then I had a twirling majorette, and then I had a acrobatic majorette named Margaret Self. Anybody remember her? Okay. Before I continue with the Salisbury High School thing, whether you were in the band or not, could you please stand up if you went to school at Salisbury High School so we can see how many people are here? While I was at Salisbury High School, we applied to go to the Macy's Parade, but it was a 5-year waiting period on that, and we had to go. Then the school integrated. So as a result of that, I reapplied when I got to Bennett to go to Gilmore's. And that was one of the highlights of my teaching career there. And this is kind of funny. When I went to Bennett, the school wasn't ready. I don't know if some of y'all remember the first year when Bennett was open. The gymnasium wasn't ready, and the cafeteria was not ready. So, lo and behold, they had the gym classes, phys ed classes, right near my room, right in the lobby, near my classroom. And all I heard all day long, rope jumping, boom, 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 boom. And the kids said, Mr. Harris, what's going on out there? Is the school falling apart? I said, no, they have to jump the rope. And then I said, we started playing a real fast song, and I think they were jumping to the rhythm of what we were playing. The faster we played, the more they jumped. Now here's something that I don't know if some of you remember. Some of you people out of the first year school was open. Think back a little bit. We had to eat in our classroom because they had the cafeteria wasn't ready. So we had like 10, 15 trash cans in my room because I had like 45, 50, 60 kids at my 4th period class. And people don't believe me when I say this, but we had a little mouse that was real sensible and knew that we had a lot of food in that room. And this little mouse stayed in our room, in that room, I bet you, for 4 months. He used to like the drum section. I don't know if Michelle was in the band at that time or not, but he stayed back in the windowsill behind the drum section. He'd always walk back there. We just left him out, let him go. Nobody bothered him. And the last period class would just crumble those stuff and put it in one of the trash cans for that next night. So the first time I opened the door in the morning in my classroom, first thing I saw was that little mouse. So he stayed there as long as he wanted to. We didn't bother him. Now, we had a vocabulary test one time. You know, asked about what does piano mean, what is blah, 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 shalom, and all this stuff. And I can't remember the child's name. If I did, I wouldn't call his name anyway. But when we got to the word rest on the test, okay? And this really happened. He wrote me a little note and said, Mr. Harris, rest is good for your health. And said, if you rest a lot, life, you will have good health. So I started laughing. I didn't want to laugh at his face, but so I said, let's go back in the office with me. I said, look, you got your classes mixed up. I said, the rest was good in phys ed class and health class, but not in this class. He said, well, what is the definition for rest? I said, you go look it up and come back and tell me. So that's what he did. He found out what it was. Now, let's go back. The Azalea Festival in Norfolk. Now, Michelle is playing the drums over here. She's going to remember this happening. We forgot her drum. She was the head of the drum section. And we got down there. Michelle came running to me. Mr. Harris, I can't find my drum. I said, oh my God, what are we going to do? So we had about 4 parents start running all over Norfolk trying to find one. So we found one at a pawn shop or someplace. And she ended up playing a weird looking drum, but she did have a drum. Michelle back in the background there. Now, another thing that I'm really proud of, Mayor, is that we turned the Christmas lights on downtown for I don't know how many years. And it was after Thanksgiving. And after Thanksgiving, everybody's gone home. So here again, I'm missing my meal and everything, but I always had about 95% of my students would show up for that. And that's what I thought was wonderful on a holiday. Mr. Smith back there, Charlie back there, was at senior high. We used to have combined shows between the middle junior high and the senior high. We didn't make the letter, we just spelled out on the field, been in high school. And we used to do that. And I remember that Charlie real well. And then one time, they asked us to do half of the show, and he was going to do half the show. So I said we were going to play. I got all these pretty umbrellas for my band front girls, multicolored umbrellas, and we played Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, okay? And just as we started playing Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, I'll never forget, it started to rain. So I said, we'll never do that again. Now, something that I'm a field representative for the NAACP, and I have to go to many meetings, some with my friend over here, Mr. Mayor. And then we have meetings, but they have good candy and everything. He always has candy and stuff. So I don't mind going to those meetings. But I was on the committee to move Bennett Middle School to a new location. And it really, I had mixed emotions. They were going to tear the school down, going to find a new location. Being there from the day one really was a difficult task for me to say, tear it down. So I was on that committee, and they asked me 2,000 questions. Well, what happened when you were there? I said, when I was there back in ancient days, I don't remember what happened. Okay, now, one thing I'm very, very proud of all the people that I've taught, a lot of them are band directors all over the United States. Some of them I played in Army bands, some of them played in the Drum Bugle Corps, and I had 2 in Salisbury. Howard, where's Howard? Okay. And it makes me feel so proud. I played the community band with them. It's good to play with your own student. Now, how much fun did we have when we had the band dances, remember? And how much fun did we have when we went to acetate? Okay, now I'm going to tell you about acetate. I was smoking cigarettes like, steam engine at that time. So I would take my shirt off and put it on the ground, and here comes somebody, the president of the band, Susan Pollitt, some of them, I don't know, some of them. So they dug a hole in their sand, and put my cigarettes in the ground. So I'm trying to find this. Mr. Harris, we don't know that they would do that. Every year somebody would do that. And I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody that made this possible. And especially, let's give this band a big round of applause over here for Howard. And all the platform was, and Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you very much. Now, we had a starting step, right? We also had a stopping step, didn't we? It's called what? Kick down. Okay, Michelle, give us a little kick down. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, bum, bum, bum. Do that. That's what we did. Now everybody holler for it. I would also like to see how many people came from out of town. Could you please stand up if you came from out of town? Did y'all ever look at Joel Osteen on Sunday morning? Okay. What's he say in the morning? He said, well, I like to start with something funny. I'm going to end with something funny. There's a little boy sitting on the street, and a man came by and said, little boy, can you tell me where the post office is? He said, yes, sir. And you go down the street, make a left turn, and the post office is right there. He said, okay. So the man went to the post office and came back. Little boy was still sitting there. He said, little boy, I'm the new minister in town. If you come to church Sunday, I'll show you how you get to heaven. Little boy said, how you going to show me how you get to heaven? You can't even find a post office. Now let's go back and talk about two of my two daughters. Both of them played in Waha band. Okay, now Denise right here played in the first band that Jim Anno had. The first year he came to Waha.
Yay, Mr. Anno.
And Belinda also played with Mr. Anno. Under Mr. Anno, Belinda took a music theory class under him. And when she went to college at Hampton University, both of them went to Hampton, Denise went to Hampton too. When she got in that same class at Hampton, Miss Anno had her so far advanced that she was ahead of the kids in that class. So the professor said, can you help tutor some of these kids? I think that's wonderful for Miss Anno to do that. And under Miss Anno's guidance, Belinda was chosen for Who's Who in Music. She won the American Legion Award. She won the John Philip Sousa Award, and she was chosen to play in some band in England or someplace. McDonald's band, Claire said, but evidently it was two of them that got chosen, Carrie Work and Belinda. So Carrie Work's mom and Belinda and Claire got together and they discussed it. They said, well, they can't go over there, it's too far. So they didn't go, but they were chosen. But they got together and they didn't get a chance to go. So Ms. Anno and Mrs. Anno, can you please stand up so that people can see you? Woo! Mr. Anno not only was a band director, I helped him after I retired. For one thing, in Salvation Army, I was over there. I helped Mr. Anno for a long time. It was a pleasure working over there with him. And on that picture that you see, I had to use Mr. Anno's trumpet in the magazine that you see. Why did I have to use it? Because my grandson, 14-year-old grandson, is a trumpet player. And I gave him all the trumpets I had. So what he did, he put them in this room, and he took a case and put the trumpets on top of the case, and took a picture of them and put it on Facebook and said, these are the trumpets my grandparents bought me. And he put it right on Facebook. I'll never forget that. Okay, one more thing before I go. I give honor to God for my family and for all my friends. I have another friend named Jim that we bowled together for 25 years or how many years. And we've been friends forever and ever and ever. And Mr. Jim Hall, is he here? Okay, will you please stand up, Jim? Is he here? Oh, okay, maybe he had to be then. But it's ironic that I have two people named Jim, and for friend. So thanks for coming, everybody, and God bless you. And like Obama says, God bless America. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I promise I will keep this short. I'm not nearly as long-winded as my dad, so I will definitely keep this short. Wow, y'all, what a day this has been. I flew in from Charlotte last night. I got here about 10 o'clock, and I'm gonna have to go back in the morning, but I wouldn't have missed this in the world. To the Mayor of Salisbury, the distinguished speakers, all former students, friends, and my girl, Kim, my new best friend forever. Also, to the media coverage, Melvin L, WBOC, WMDT, Metropolitan Magazine, and I think this is Charlotte. Not Charlotte. Salisbury Independent Magazine. My sister Belinda, my son Christian, my nephew Markel, and I, we so humbly thank you all for making this extraordinary day happen. The outpouring of love for my dad has been phenomenal, unlike anything that I have ever witnessed before in my 54 years of life. That makes my sister and I the luckiest daughters in the world, and most definitely the proudest. Unfortunately, the rest of my family were not able to be here today. They are so deeply saddened, but sends their love. My son Christian wanted to share with everyone that his granddaddy means the world to him. His fondest memory is going to the Shorebirds games and stopping at Arby's on the way. And of course, my nephew, the trumpet player. He is his granddad reincarnated. Well, Dad, it's your firstborn daughter, me. What else can I say other than this is the day that the Lord has made possible, and I am so proud to be your daughter. You are truly my hero. I love you so much.
Kim, would you do us a favor and come out and take a quick bow? I know you're bashful. Just come, let everyone give you a proper thank you. Please. Come on.
First of all, this is overwhelming. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for making this day possible. You know, on Easter Sunday, we went out to dinner, and this young lady came up to me. She was so excited. She said, I want to do something for Mr. Harris. We have a lot of people that want to do something for Mr. Harris. And I've never known anyone so excited about wanting to do something for somebody else. But she was extremely excited. I don't know how long she had worked on these plans before she came to me, but once the plans were finalized, she'd either call me, she'd call Denise, or she would call Belinda if there was a question about something that she did not know about Melvin. And I know she's worked very, very hard. It was on that desk.
It's in that table.
Where is it?
Where's the desk?
No, that's not it. Look, it's an envelope. Oh. It's not. I know. You know where it is. Okay, Kim, will you please come over here? I know with all the work that you've done, the running and making sure this was okay and that was okay, you must be tired. So we decided to give you something that would help you to. We want to send you over to the spa.
Oh my gosh.
And please, enjoy.
I can't take this.
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks again, everyone, for coming today. Mr. Harris is going to be able to greet everyone down in front if you'd like to stay and say hi, and thank you. We have any more selections from the band? Strike it up. Thank you.